Just 3 minutes ago, royal insiders confirmed a jaw-dropping discovery. Prince William has uncovered a secret letter Diana wrote for Catherine, hidden for over 2 decades. Its contents? Deeply emotional, painfully honest, and utterly heartbreaking. This wasn't meant for the world. It was meant for the woman Diana never met, but always knew. Discovery at the estate. William uncovers Diana's secret letter. It happened during a quiet October weekend at Highgrove House, one of the places Prince William still visits when he needs space. According to insiders, he was going through a secured wooden chest hidden behind a panel in the old library, a place Diana once spent time writing letters. It was Burke, a trusted royal archivist, and Lady Sarah McCorquodale, Diana's sister, who were with him when the compartment gave way. Inside, a faded ivory envelope sealed with a wax stamp Diana used in the mid-90s. William froze. His first words were barely above a whisper. This was meant for her. The envelope wasn't addressed in the usual royal style. It simply read, "For Catherine." When the time is right, that line alone changed the air in the room. Everyone went quiet. Something about it felt both sacred and urgent, like Diana had planned this moment from the very beginning. What stunned William most was how well it had been hidden. The compartment was invisible unless you knew exactly what to press. "She didn't want anyone else to find this," Burke reportedly muttered. The weight of that letter, untouched for nearly 25 years, hit William harder than he expected. But what could Diana possibly have written for a woman she never met? And why keep it secret for so long? Why Catherine? Diana's message intended for Kate. Diana had never met Catherine, but she had imagined her. In the early 90s, after separating from Prince Charles, Diana often spoke about what kind of woman she hoped her sons would marry. According to her old friend Simone Simmons, Diana used to say, "William will need someone kind, calm, someone who can handle what I couldn't." It was clear Diana was thinking about the future even in her darkest moments. The letter revealed just how deeply Diana had thought about the kind of person who'd one day become queen alongside William. She wrote in a gentle, almost motherly tone. No royal phrases, no protocol, just warmth and brutal honesty. "If you're reading this," the letter began, "then you already know how hard this life can be." That one line says everything. Diana didn't sugarcoat what Catherine would face. She offered guidance, and some say even warnings, about the same people and pressures that haunted her. There were moments of tenderness, too. Diana told Catherine she believed in her, without ever knowing her name. "I know you'll be the one," she wrote. It felt like a spiritual passing of the torch, a quiet blessing from the woman whose shadow still looms over the crown. And now, that blessing was in William's hands, but the message was clearly meant for one person only, Catherine. What exactly did Diana say in those pages? The contents were even more explosive than anyone imagined. What the letter reveals: hidden truths and warnings. The moment William opened the letter, everything changed. Inside those carefully folded pages was a mix of fear, love, and urgent truth. Diana didn't hold back. She spoke of enemies in plain sight and warned about the inner circles that once tried to silence her. "They'll smile at you," she wrote, "but some of them smiled at me too, before turning away." She mentioned meetings held in 1995, around the time of her Panorama interview, that she believed were designed to isolate her. One line stood out more than the rest. "Camilla is not your enemy, but she's not your friend either." Diana seemed torn between warning and forgiving. She didn't name names often, but when she did, it was pointed. She wrote about a woman behind the curtain who controlled more than people realized, someone many believe referred to an unnamed senior royal aide still active in Buckingham Palace today. She confessed to feeling watched, even followed, in her final months. She described her driver changing routes, strange calls at night, and a deep sense of betrayal. "Don't let them break you like they broke me," Diana wrote. "Promise me that." Those words hit William like a brick. It was more than a letter. It was a cry from the past and a warning for the future. But even through the fear, Diana believed in love. She closed that section with, "He's his own man, but he's my son. Stand by him, and you'll both survive this." What came next pushed William into emotional territory he hadn't entered in years. William's internal battle: protector, son, future monarch. Alone in the drawing room at Kensington Palace, William reread the letter under the soft glow of a single antique lamp. Outside, the October wind moved through the trees, but inside, time felt frozen. It had been 26 years since his mother died, yet in that moment, she was right there with him. Her voice, her fears, her love, all captured in those pages. Her handwriting was still so familiar, personal, unfiltered, and every line brought a new wave of emotions he hadn't prepared for. But this wasn't just a memory. It was a warning and a burden. Diana hadn't written to a child. She had written to a woman William loved, and indirectly, to the man he had become. She called on him not as her little boy, but as the future king. "Protect her," she wrote. "Protect her the way no one protected me." That line didn't just strike him, it shattered him, because he knew exactly what she meant. He remembered everything: her quiet tears after royal engagements, the strained dinners, the way she'd call him late at night while he was still a boy at Eton, whispering truths she couldn't say to anyone else. Her voice had always sounded strongest in private. That's what the letter felt like. One last private conversation no one else was meant to hear. He paced for hours, unable to sit still. One moment, he felt furious. At the system, at the secrets, at himself for not finding this sooner. The next, he felt overwhelmed with guilt. Should he tell Catherine? Should he destroy the letter to protect her? Or release it and risk everything? The pressure was suffocating. If the palace found out, it could start a media wildfire. But hiding it would be a betrayal of everything Diana stood for. Wasn't secrecy what destroyed her in the first place? At one point, he reportedly whispered to a close confidant, "Now I understand why she never gave it to them." If they had read this, it would have ruined everything. The letter wasn't just about Catherine. It was about the entire machine. The one that chewed Diana up. The one Catherine had quietly walked into, never fully knowing what waited inside. William saw the patterns now. The same isolation, the same shadows, the same power games. The past wasn't just repeating. It was echoing. Through his role, through his marriage, through Catherine. For William, the decision wasn't political. It was personal. This was about protecting his family, preserving his mother's truth, and confronting the system he would one day lead. Because now, he wasn't just Diana's son. He was the gatekeeper of her final message. This wasn't just about love or loss. This was about legacy, one his mother had protected with ink and paper, in secret, for a future she never lived to see. And now, it was in his hands, forever. Kate's reaction. Respect, betrayal, tears. Catherine wasn't prepared. No warning, no build-up. William handed her the letter one quiet evening at Adelaide Cottage, their family home in Windsor, as the children slept upstairs. "This was meant for you," he said, his voice low, his face unreadable. She looked down at the envelope, already opened but still sealed by the weight of history. As she read Diana's handwriting, flowing, personal, not formal like royal correspondence, her hands began to tremble. The first few lines made her tear up instantly. Diana had written with such gentleness, as if she knew exactly how Catherine would feel reading it. "You're the one I dreamed of," it said, "the one I prayed William would find." The words were beautiful, but what followed broke something in her. Diana described the pressures, the jealousy, the quiet enemies hidden in the background of palace life. She warned her about the same loneliness Catherine herself had started to feel, but never spoken aloud. "They'll praise you in public and isolate you in private," Diana wrote. Catherine had always tried to stay silent, to stay strong. But here was Diana, a woman she'd never met, putting into words everything she had quietly endured. She felt seen, and yet betrayed. Why hadn't William told her sooner? Had he known about this for days? Weeks? She looked up and asked him just that. "When did you find it?" William's answer, "Just a few days ago," only deepened the ache. He wasn't hiding it, but he had processed it alone. Catherine felt the weight of that isolation, the same isolation Diana warned about. Tears ran down her face, not from pain, but from the overwhelming sense of connection. Diana knew her. Without knowing her name, without ever shaking her hand, Diana had spoken to her soul. Catherine didn't shout. She didn't storm off. Instead, she held the letter against her chest and whispered, "She's still watching, isn't she?" William nodded, unable to speak. For the first time in their marriage, the ghost of Diana wasn't just present. It was leading the way. Catherine now carried more than just the title of Princess of Wales. She carried Diana's words, her hopes, her fears. And while her heart broke from the truth she had read, a part of her felt stronger. She now knew the rules of the game and the faces behind the curtain. But the question was, what would she do with that knowledge? Royal fallout. Palace insiders scrambling. The moment word of the letter leaked, Clarence House went into full-blown crisis mode. No one knew exactly how it got out. Some say it was an anonymous email to the Times. Others believe a copy was sent to a trusted royal reporter Diana once knew. But within 48 hours, headlines were exploding. Diana's final warning to Kate. Secrets buried since 1997, now exposed. And suddenly, the walls of the palace felt like they were closing in. Senior advisors rushed to draft statements, but there was a problem. None of them had seen the letter. They didn't know what Diana had said. All they knew was that it referenced Camilla, possibly Charles, and definitely pointed fingers at royal insiders still holding power today. A quiet fear took over. What if Diana had named names? What if this letter started a domino effect that pulled back the curtain on years of carefully managed lies? Behind the scenes, there were arguments. Some demanded William hand the letter over to the royal archives. Others insisted on a private review by the palace legal team. But William refused. He made it clear, "This stays with my wife. It was meant for her, not for you." That bold line shifted the dynamic. It was no longer about tradition or protocol. It was personal. Within hours, divisions formed inside the palace. Some courtiers sided with William, quietly relieved that Diana's message was finally out. Others, those close to Camilla and King Charles, feared reputational damage. A handful even suggested quietly planting counterstories to discredit the letter's contents. "It's emotional fiction," one unnamed aide told a reporter. But that didn't stop the leaks. Bits and pieces of the letter appeared in different outlets. Never the full thing, but enough to light fires. Mentions of a woman controlling access and a betrayal inside the family started trending on social media. Royal watchers began to question old narratives. Could Diana have been right all along? Had her warnings been buried to protect those now sitting on the throne? And all the while, Catherine remained silent. Her silence spoke louder than any press release. Insiders say she refused to attend a scheduled palace luncheon that week. "Not now," she allegedly told her private secretary. The message was clear. Something had shifted. The palace, once known for its silence and strength, now stood shaken by one letter, one voice from the past, and a future that had suddenly become very unpredictable. Camilla and Charles, targets or warned of danger? When the headlines broke, Camilla was the first to react. According to palace insiders, she stormed into a private meeting with King Charles at Clarence House, visibly shaken, holding a tabloid in her hand. The cover read, "Diana's Final Warning. Camilla named in secret. Letter to Kate." She reportedly asked one question. Did she really write about me? Charles, pale and visibly stunned, had no clear answer. He hadn't read the letter himself. The contents of Diana's note had not been officially released, but the leaked excerpts made one thing clear. Camilla's name was mentioned, not in hatred, but in caution. Diana reportedly wrote, "She may smile now, but she once smiled at me too." That single sentence shook the foundations of Camilla's carefully rebuilt public image. After years of transforming herself from the other woman to queen consort, she was once again being viewed through Diana's lens, a lens of betrayal, secrecy, and pain. Charles, on the other hand, was deeply conflicted. Some say he was angry, not just at Diana's lingering shadow, but at William. "He should have brought this to me," he reportedly told a close aide. The king was said to have spent hours behind closed doors, rereading press summaries and calling in legal advisors to see if the letter could be blocked from further exposure. But it was too late. The public had already taken sides, and most weren't siding with him. In private, Charles allegedly asked his team to explore whether the letter could be classified as a private family document to keep it out of public circulation. But this only added fuel to the fire. What did he want to hide? Why the panic? Questions swirled across news panels and online forums, and hashtags like #JusticeForDiana and #QueenKate started trending globally within 72 hours. Camilla's response, according to sources, was even more strategic. She held an emergency meeting with her PR team and planned an exclusive interview to share her side before the public turned completely. "I was not the villain," she was prepared to say, but advisors warned her, "Silence might serve you better this time." So far, she's stayed quiet, but the tension is boiling just beneath the surface. And now, the once delicate relationship between Camilla, William, and Kate has taken a hit. Trust is gone. Appearances are colder. And while Charles tries to stabilize his reign, Camilla's place beside him feels more fragile than ever. But while the royal couple braced themselves privately, the world outside was catching fire. Public reaction and media storm. The public didn't wait for confirmation. Within hours of the leak, the UK was buzzing, and the media exploded like it hadn't in years. Morning talk shows, primetime specials, and YouTube channels all jumped on one headline: Diana's final letter to Catherine. News vans were spotted outside Windsor, and crowds began gathering near palace gates, holding signs that read, "Diana still speaks," and "Kate, we believe you." In less than 24 hours, over 2 million tweets using hashtag Diana's letter flooded X, formerly Twitter. People dissected every alleged line, every phrase. The most shared quote? "Don't let them break you like they broke me." It touched something raw, especially among younger royal fans who had only known Diana through documentaries and tragic flashbacks. Suddenly, she felt alive again. Real, unfinished. Polls taken within the first week told a shocking story. 62% of Britons believed the letter was genuine. 48% said they now had less trust in the monarchy. And among women aged 25 to 45, support for Catherine soared to an all-time high. She was no longer just a duchess or a princess. She was the woman Diana had chosen. That image stuck, and it scared the palace. Royal spokespeople scrambled to regain control. They issued a short, cold statement. Private family documents are not for public discourse. But that only made it worse. The public wanted answers, not silence. Tabloids had a field day. One cover shouted, "What else are they hiding?" Another teased, "The letter Camilla fears." Even American media jumped in. Major networks aired specials titled Diana's Ghost in the Palace and Kate's Royal Crossroads. The pressure on the royals grew heavier by the day. Meanwhile, Catherine remained completely silent. No social media posts, no public events. Her absence said more than words, and it only deepened the sympathy pouring in from across the world. People weren't just interested in the letter anymore. They were demanding justice. They wanted the truth Diana hinted at. They wanted the names behind the pain. And they wanted to know who was really running the palace. As the monarchy fought to hold the narrative, the public had already chosen their side. And they weren't letting go. Hidden agendas. Who benefits from suppression? Behind the walls of Buckingham Palace, panic wasn't the only thing spreading. There were whispers, low, strategic conversations about how to control the situation before it spiraled further. The letter wasn't just emotional. It was dangerous. It mentioned behaviors, power moves, and possibly even individuals whose reputations couldn't survive exposure. And suddenly, everyone wanted to know who stood to lose if the truth came out. Several long-serving courtiers, some who've worked with Charles since the 1980s, reportedly pushed for the letter to be sealed permanently. They argued it was too personal. But insiders say there was another reason. Some of those names Diana hinted at in her writing were still active in royal operations. Protecting the institution meant protecting their positions, titles, salaries, influence. If Diana's words went public in full, it wouldn't just damage reputations, it could destroy careers. Then there were the foreign interests Diana subtly referenced: possible intelligence surveillance, intercepted calls, even the idea that she was being followed in her final weeks. One line, according to leaks, said, "If anything happens to me, it won't be an accident." That line triggered a whole new level of fear. Some believe it alluded to political figures or shadow networks with ties to royal security. Whether true or not, even the suggestion was enough to send lawyers and officials into full defense mode. Multiple attempts were allegedly made to buy silence. One former staff member who handled Diana's personal items said they were offered a six-figure sum for any copies or duplicates of the letter. Another source claimed that a tech contractor was asked to erase surveillance footage of a room William visited the night the letter was found. It's unclear who gave that order, but it wasn't William. The Royal Press Office, meanwhile, began feeding stories to media outlets painting the leak as deeply damaging to national stability. That phrase caught attention. Since when did a private letter from a mother to a daughter-in-law threaten national stability? Unless it wasn't just personal. Unless someone feared what else Diana may have left behind. And while all of this happened behind velvet curtains, the public remained in the dark, watching, waiting, questioning. But one thing was now clear. There were people, powerful people, who did not want this story to continue. But it was too late. The damage was done, and the world was waiting for the next move. Long-term consequences, legacy, alliances, justice. This wasn't just a royal drama, it was a turning point. The discovery of Diana's letter has already changed how the public views the monarchy, and it's just beginning. For Catherine, the weight of Diana's words now lives with her every day. But insiders say it has also transformed her. She walks differently now, one royal aide shared. She knows who she is and who she represents. Diana didn't just pass down memories, she passed down mission. Kate has reportedly become more involved in private strategy meetings with William. Not just as his wife, but as a partner. As someone who knows where the cracks are now. Someone Diana trusted, before the world ever knew her name. The idea that Diana chose her, even spiritually, has changed public opinion. She's no longer seen as silent or passive. She's seen as a quiet force, and the crown needs her more than ever. As for William, sources say the letter has shifted his vision of kingship. He's begun revisiting his mother's old projects, even speaking with former aides Diana once trusted. One insider said he wants to clean house, start fresh, but he has to wait for the right moment. That moment may not come until Charles steps aside, but when it does, the changes may be seismic. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, lawyers are revisiting Diana's archives. If this letter existed, what else might have been hidden? Diaries? Recordings? Other messages meant for the future? There are even murmurs of a quiet investigation into whether key individuals manipulated events leading up to Diana's 1997 death. Nothing official yet, but the pressure is growing. The public now demands transparency. Petitions have been launched calling for the full letter to be published. More than 800,000 signatures and counting. Commentators say it's about more than curiosity. It's about closure, justice. Finally hearing Diana's voice without edits or palace filters. And through it all, Diana's legacy rises. Stronger, louder, untouched by time. She was silenced once, but not this time. Her final message is no longer locked away. It's in the world now, living, moving, changing everything. And maybe that was her plan all along. Diana's words have finally surfaced, raw, real, and impossible to ignore. For Catherine, it's a blessing and a burden. For the monarchy, it's a storm waiting to break. One thing is certain, this letter has changed everything. And now, the world is watching, waiting, wondering what happens next. Stay tuned.